Kaladesh is an amazing place, but any magic setting is only as good as the characters and the stories that live and breathe there. Thankfully, Kaladesh has plenty of friends and foes, old and new, waiting for us. Let's meet them.
When we open on Kaladesh, we're in the middle of an inventor's fair, and this is a grand exhibition of all of the greatest inventions that everybody on the whole world just flocks to this inventor's fair. You bring your, the most amazing thing that you've ever made with the hopes of, showing everybody what you've made, of attracting attention of the judges, of the exhibitors, of the people. This is the next cool thing for Kaladesh.
So one of the things that premieres in Kaladesh is the story spotlight. I mean, we've since Battle for Zendikar, we've been doing these on-card story beats, but now we're marking them. We actually look at the bottom of the card, it says, 1 of 5 or whatever. So one of the challenges is, part of design is we work closely with the creative team and they say, here are creative things we need. In the past, it's here's a planeswalker, here's a legendary creature, or here's a location, here's things that you need to match. But now, we have to match moments in the story, which is a little bit different, because it's more, in the past they said, here are nouns, and now they're here are verbs. Match these verbs, please. And it's a very different animal. Trying to match the stories is we want to be true to what the story is, but we want to make fun cards that play well.
Story spotlight number 2, captured by the consulate. So, Chandra and Liliana are pursuing this renegade threat through the fair. They think they found someone sort of being shady in the shadows. They go ahead, they're oh, we're gonna get this guy, pounce. Gasp, it's Tezzeret! Liliana's yes, this must be the renegade threat, this must be the threat, Tezzeret is no good. Tezzeret says, no, I am the head judge of this fair, this is my fair, I am chasing another renegade. Gasp, it is Pia Nalaar, Chandra's mom. Chandra thought Pia was dead, Pia thought Chandra was dead. This could be this amazing heartfelt reunion moment. Not so fast, says Tezzeret. This is a renegade, she was planning some destruction here, this is my fair. He has her taken by consulate guard. Chandra has to be held back from trying to save her mom, and so Pia is captured by the consulate.
Deadlock Trap, the artifact, actually shows when Chandra and Nissa are imprisoned by the consulate as well. Consulate have this secret prison known as the Dune, and Chandra and Nissa are locked away here.
Deadlock Trap is a story moment card that represents sort of the heroes of the story taken prisoner and locked away in this trap. I believe there's sort of poison gas filling the chamber and they have to figure out how to escape. So pretty cool moment there. This is a card that's meant to reward you for playing lots of energy in your deck. It's sort of an Icy Manipulator type variant that can tap a creature every turn or lock down a planeswalker, but it costs energy to do so. So in theory, eventually you'll run out of energy, but if you've constructed your deck properly, you can do this turn after turn for quite some time.
That may seem like a fine limited card, but it actually also saw a lot of play in the Future League, especially dealing with large vehicles and giant monsters, so expect to see it at the top tables everywhere.
When things seem at their worst, when Chandra and Nissa are locked away in the Dune, they are rescued by a stranger. This stranger ends up being a beloved character we haven't seen in some time, and this is a Johnny Goldmane. You see him on the card, impeccable timing, and in the story it is exactly that. But he has been tracking Tezzeret for his own reasons for some time.
Story spotlight number 4 is Fateful Showdown. So Tezzeret has sponsored a grand exhibition at the fair, and he says, based on this long-standing tradition on Kaladesh, we're going to have 2 inventors face off, and it's going to be sort of like this inventor's duel, and it's going to be him, the head judge, the consulate, versus Pia Nalaar, the renegade threat, and he's painted her in this terrible light, and they're going to face off, and Chandra is going to be there to rescue her mom in her mind, and the Gatewatch are going to be there just to make sure she doesn't go crazy and watch out for Tezzeret. The duel starts to get real, Tezzeret starts to throw real magic, Chandra rushes in to protect her mom, fire blazing, and the Gatewatch are like, okay, here we go too. They rush in to help Chandra out, they stop Tezzeret and escape with Pia. They think this is a victory. Chandra and her mom finally get that heartwarming, heartfelt reunion that they've been waiting for, only to find that they have been duped again. Tezzeret had set this all up to cover up his other plan. What he wanted was all of the inventions. What he got was everybody distracted. He had all of his minions collect the inventions, reroute the Aether, get it all out, and now he has everything he wanted. They might have Pia, but he doesn't care at this point.
this is really Chandra's story in a lot of ways. This is her homecoming, but to a world that she's very at odds with. I mean, she's a pyromancer and isn't this inventor. So she is at odds with the world that she's in. But because this is her story, I really wanted to make sure we were doing something spectacular with her. So we deployed the 4 abilities, which really gives you lots of ability to do really fine control. You do something different one game to the next, one turn to the next. I'm really excited about this Chandra because she just has so much possibility.
First of all, she can just exile the top card of your library. You get to cast it, you get to deal some damage to them potentially. Everything a red deck could want. You need cards, you get cards. You need damage, you get damage. She can give you mana so you can cast your big red spells quicker or unleash an X spell to end the game. Of course, if you're in a pinch, you can always just fire off some damage on a creature. And then finally, that nice big emblem. If you let Chandra take up for a few turns, you can activate her final ultimate ability and get this incredible emblem that will knock your opponent out in no time flat. She's a real powerhouse.
For Chandra, this is a very interesting journey because she's arriving on Kaladesh with the assumption that both mom and dad are dead. The reason she hasn't come back here has been very painful. She's a person who wears her heart on her sleeve and just wouldn't expose herself to this kind of hurt coming home. Through the events of this set, however, she realizes, when she meets PNLR, that her mom is in fact not dead. And so we're going to see what does that mean for Chandra to know that there is family that is still alive. And we're actually also going to see that Chandra's approach to things and Pia's approach to things are not necessarily the same.
So we're going to Kaladesh, and we wanted a character that would be a great fit, a planeswalker we could put at the front and center of it that would make sense on Kaladesh. And who other than Saheeli Rai? So
Saheeli Rai is a Kaladesh native planeswalker. She's red and blue, and we wanted Saheeli to be emblematic of what this world is about. And so of course that means dealing with artifacts. For Saheeli, that means being able to transmute certain metals into different ones. She basically has absolute control over the properties of metal.
Nissa, Vital Force, is another powerful Planeswalker card from the set. We tried to position this card as kind of going over the top haymaker in a mid-range matchup. Her ultimate there is to give you a longer term value as the game goes on. So if you're in sort of two mid-range deck mirror match, you can try to ultimate her, and then every land you draw is just drawing you into another card, and eventually over the long term you'll outmuscle your opponent in terms of card advantage. Her +1 ability does a good job defending her or attacking in a hasty fashion. It's very powerful, hitting for 5 right away. And then her second ability can return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, could even rebuy other copies of Planeswalkers or other copies of Nissa, again playing into that sort of mid-range value type shell to kind of outlast your opponent in a longer game.
Nissa Vital Force is a new exciting incarnation of one of our favorite green Planeswalkers. Not only does she have an ultimate that you can turn on the turn after you cast her, she gets a giant 5/5 creature to protect her until you get there. It's always a tough choice whether you want to keep her around or have just massive card advantage for the rest of the game.
Dovin Baan kind of gets the whole Kaladesh story going. Dovin Baan is a Vedulcan planeswalker from Kaladesh who arrives on Ravnica to enlist the aid of the planeswalkers.
With someone like Jace or Gideon, you kind of know what that person's doing, but with a brand new planeswalker like Dovin Baan from this set, we get to kind of start from scratch and create something really, really interesting. So the first thing we do is we look at the character. What is the creative team trying to bring to the table? And Dovin Baan is this white-blue planeswalker who works with the consulate, and he's got a knack for finding the flaws in things. And we thought, okay, how can we bring this to a card? Well, we can make sure that he draws you cards and gains you some life. Very white-blue things, very consulate things to do. But the really cool part to me is the way he kind of finds that flaw in that creature. He gives it a little bit of a power negative and also makes sure that its activated abilities don't turn on. He kind of exploits the little things that make the creatures tick.
In this set, in this block of just all these things that players have been asking for forever, we have one more. Who is the villain? Who's the villain of the story? Tezzeret! Tezzeret is back! And so Tezzeret, it's really neat to have him as a villain, and he's going to cause all sorts of problems.